Welcome to the Woodpreneur Podcast, the #1 podcast for the business and marketing side of the lumber, woodworking, hardwood flooring, and sawmill industry. I'm your host, Steve from Acres of Timber. Each week, we feature various wood business owners and entrepreneurs from around the globe. We share their stories, paths, insights so that you can network, learn, and grow your own wood business. Thank you so much for listening. Now enjoy the episode. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur Podcast. This is your host, Steve Larzlier. Today's guest is Evan Haxo from Haxo LLC. How you doing, Evan?
I'm doing well, Steve. I appreciate you having me on here and reaching out to, hear about what we do.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell us about what you do?
So we're a small custom millwork shop in Northwest Connecticut. We do little bit of everything. So kind of the bread and butter is kitchens, libraries, vanities, box work, that kind of stuff, furniture, but we do a lot of doors as well. Recently, we've been doing a lot of door work, so screens, screen porches, screen doors, entry doors. And pretty much we'll do anything you can't find somewhere else. Like I say, if it's weird and wood, we'll make it work.
Weird and wood. That's funny. Yeah. That's awesome. How'd you get your start?
I was kind of born into it. So my father has been in the trades for his whole life, and he was just starting to get into the more millwork, custom side of stuff as I was born. And so he had a basement shop set up, and there's pictures of me like in the little swingy chair as a little kid down there, and I was homeschooled, so I was available to help him on installs starting from when I was 12 or so. He always used to say, I was like, oh, when can I work with you? He said, when you can carry a sheet of plywood, you can come work. And so that was kind of how I started into it. And then once I got my license to drive and whatnot, I started working summers with different general construction crews and worked with 3 different crews through college. And I worked at a theater when I went to college. I went for geology, but they had a theater department there, and that was kind of like a saving grace for my mind. You get to build stuff when you're stranded in a college setting.
Yeah.
And so then I started Haxo LLC in 2017 when my father's millwork business was really, really busy, overwhelmed. And so I started working as a subcontractor for him full time in 2017. So I came off of doing general construction, and we've been doing that kind of stuff since then.
That's awesome. Is your father still in business? He's still around?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, we work together every day. And we in 2020 or so, we started dabbling into sawmilling. And so we got a chainsaw mill set up, and then that just kind of got the ball rolling, and I bought a Norwood a year later. And then so we've been kind of getting into making our own material as well, and it's provided makeup work. So when there's a slow day or you're waiting on decisions or something, you can go make some material.
That's cool. So you've been around since 2017. The bread and butter is kitchens. How do you get most of your clients and projects?
Most of it's word of mouth. We have a handful of general contractors and architects that we work with. And then a lot of just, friends, family, friends of family, all that. Just we're small, so we can't handle a huge amount of load, but we stay pretty busy with that.
That's cool. And what do you love most about running this business?
Get to do, got to work. I need to work with my hands. I'm not a person who spends much time in front of a computer. You get to make things. You get to design, troubleshoot, come up with solutions. Every day is a different thing. We don't do much repetitive stuff. Everything that we do is pretty much a one-off. So you're constantly kind of pushing the limit, figuring out what's going to work, hoping that it does work, and then being really stoked when it does.
What do you think is the thing that like you didn't know that you know now that when you first started the business you're like, damn, I thought I knew, but like what do you think is the sort of the thing that surprised you about owning, this millwork business?
Man, I guess it's like you never know what's coming, right? You go into you think you know what's happening, you think you know what's coming, and there's always that curveball, and being able to be ready for it and not getting upset at a mistake or something that doesn't follow through. I mean, you make wrong cuts all the time, and it's how you recover from that, I think, that really separates the I don't know. It was always I would get so upset when I would make mistakes in the beginning, and it messes with your whole mind the rest of the day, and you just got to say, okay, you put that behind you and move on to the next solution of that problem.
Yeah. What was the best investment of equipment that you made?
I think I'd say the bandsaw mill. I think.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. A shaper. I just bought a new Powermatic shaper,
Hmm.
and so now we have two shapers in the shop, and that thing. That might be the best piece of equipment I've bought because you can leave for doing mortise and tenon work on doors. It takes a long time to break down setups and set up again, and so we now have duplicates of almost all the tools, so you can leave tools set up and not have to change cutters. And if you make an adjustment on one cut, you have to change the whole setup for another. And so
Yeah.
I think just I think that's probably the most valuable tool. But also, I don't know, there's so many parts of the puzzle. But now we got it's kind of two different aspects of this business at this point, with the milling
With the mill.
and
Yeah.
then the shop work. So it's growing, and we bought a backhoe to accommodate the mill as well,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
been a huge uh, time saver because it's an all manual mill. I mean, you're doing everything by hand, and without being able to roll logs over, it's like pretty cool to be able to lift it with hydraulics instead of a PV.
How big is your team right now?
It's myself and my father. But I mean, he's a separate. We subcontract to each other. So if I get work,
Sure.
he subcontracts to me, and vice versa. So it's the two of us,
Okay.
um, pretty much just us.
Cool. And what when you started to like build this business, when was there I mean you grew up with an entrepreneurial woodpreneur dad, and
Yeah.
was there any sort of doubt that you wouldn't make it on your own?
Nah. I mean, there's always work, even if you have to go back to putting your nail bags on and going to
Yeah.
a construction site. I mean, there is always always work, and we live in a really unique area that facilitates the work that we do. Being we're 2 hours north of New York City, a little over 2 hours, I guess, up to my house. But so we're most of the work we do is second homes, third homes, that
Yeah.
type of stuff, and so there's an enormous amount of wealth around here that allows us to be in the line of work that we are in.
Gotcha. 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 Where do you want to take the business?
Um, well, so it's like now that we have the mill, it's like, okay, so you can make all this material, but I don't see much. I mean, there is value in selling just the raw material, but we have the ability to make it something more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd like to get into a place where I can have a showroom that you can make pieces, be it tables or hutches or types of furniture, things like that.
Countertops, whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Things that, because it's so much, like you can make anything you want. But it's so much easier to make something when there's not a spec that you have to build to. If you just
Yeah.
have some logs that come off the mill that look beautiful, turn them into a simple table, something like that, weld up some legs, throw it on there.
Yeah.
But that takes up space, and I don't have the space to store large pieces like that. So that's kind of where I'd like to get to, is some type of showroom area. And we're working on, we've got some land adjacent to my house that we're working on buying. And
Hmm.
so I'm going to be building a shop out there. And as we do that, hopefully we can have a space in there that can be a showroom space.
Like a showroom space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Um, and I can maybe we just move to the part of the podcast where I give you any advice. What do you need? What do you need help with? What's something that I
Well,
can help
so
you think through?
so that, I mean, that leads right into what my question to you was going to be, of like, how is the best way to market that, those type of tables, countertops, small furniture, that type of stuff,
Hmm.
without, because it's they're large enough that it's like, I mean, sure, you can ship anything, but it'd be cool if you didn't have to ship things and you could have, but maybe that's the best way. I don't know. I guess that's kind of where I'm looking for.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, do you have a way to dry the lumber that's coming off the mill?
So for now, we're air drying it, and then we have, at least down at the shop that we work in, it's an uninsulated attic, so it's like a 12 pitch on a 24 by 40, and so that gets really hot up there in the summer,
Okay.
and so that's been like a really, I mean, it's not a kiln, but it's
Bootleg kiln.
nearing a
Yeah,
kiln.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. That's how we do it up here.
Well, that I think the couple thing is that I think you need a drying solution if you're going to make furniture, and or you find somebody that'll dry for you. I'm sure there's somebody out there with a kiln that you can dry for.
Yeah,
Um,
there's one in town, but they won't take anything over 5/4.
okay,
Um, and but I imagine that's just because they don't want to hold up their kiln forever.
for sure,
Um,
for sure. So there's that consideration. The other consideration is to get some cash flow is to sell some rough cut lumber
okay.
and green slabs just to kind of get it out. But because it's really hard, I mean, unless you have stuff that's ready to go and that's really dry, it's hard to do one. It's hard to move into the furniture unless you have the inventory. But if you have the mill, um, like I would potentially get into a space where you're either custom cutting for others or uh yeah, you're custom cutting or you partner with the person with the kiln so that you can, get some logs and you start building and stacking inventory because it's kind of like a chicken and an egg thing. Like you want to build
It,
furniture, but
yes.
you don't have the kiln to in order to produce the material in order to produce the furniture. And
Yep.
so the thing that I'm thinking in the meantime is get your mill to work, um, and potentially start milling and cutting some uh, some softwoods. Work with make you. I'm sure you know a lot of general contractors. We are just releasing our latest training. And over this training, I go over how I helped generate $200,000 and 300 leads for clients. And during this 45-minute training, we will go over the frameworks, the strategies, and the concepts that you need to scale from 6 figures to 7 figures or even just get started. These are the building blocks that I've seen help wood, lumber, furniture, millwork companies grow and scale. So I've been hearing it lots of times, like, I just need a training, I need a training, I need a training. So we finally put it together. So wherever you're consuming this, just click the link in the description and you'll be able to access it. People that you could do outreach to that need decking and, wallboard and shiplap and pergolas and that sort of stuff. Like, just start cutting for that to get the cash flow, so that you can invest in some unit, right? Like maybe you get like a DH setup, um, and or because that's the biggest thing is like you need dry lumber in order to make the
Yes.
furniture. So that's what
Yep.
I would do. If you don't have the cash or the investment right now to get the kiln, use your mill to make money. Period.
Yep. Yep.
And provide that service because I'm sure there's nobody doing even what I'm talking about around you, right?
There's a handful of mobile mills around here, and there's just north of us is Berkshire Wood Products.
Okay.
They're like
They got the
I don't know if
exotics
you've
and the big stuff. Yeah, 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 yeah.
exactly. And but so that's kind of their own.
It's a different model. It's a
Yeah.
different model. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but to me, I would use a handful of contractors and be like, hey, can I bid on some stuff for you? Do some custom cutting for folks. If you can get your hands on some logs,
Yep.
get some softwoods, and then I would continue to stack. And like I said, just see if you could find, if you can find a small mill that, I mean, a small kiln used that is a DH that you could potentially, do like 1,000, 2,000 board feet, and then do small batch products, right? And then because you can get it in, get it. You have some stuff air drying already.
Yeah, we've got, I don't know, a handful of thousand board feet going. That's, I don't know, we've got a bunch of white oak, a bunch of maple, cherry, some walnut, uh, and I'm sitting on oodles of ash. I mean, we got out ash coming out our ears.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Everybody
I
around
mean,
here
dude,
does.
listen, you could find somebody to dry that stuff for you and then resell that stuff in your own projects. Like that is pretty valuable stock that you're holding on to right now
Yeah,
that you could be
yep.
selling in your millwork stuff, in your kitchens,
Yeah,
you do
we've
built-ins
been
too, right?
using what's that?
You do built-ins as well.
Yes. Yeah, so all of our kitchen, we do like fully custom. There's no stock to anything. It's built to whatever
Yeah.
you want. And so
Yeah.
we've been using the a lot. We had a lot of cherry showed up to begin with. That was most of the first stuff we got. And so we build our own drawer boxes as well. So we've been using those in drawer boxes.
Yeah.
And
I
so
mean, look,
it's gorgeous stuff.
it might even be worth to get a kiln just for your own stuff.
Yeah. It wouldn't be that hard to make one either. I mean, if you got a
It wouldn't
shipping
be that
container
hard.
and I mean, my wife they run a medium-sized plumbing company, so there's all kinds of
Shipping container
used
boxes
air
everywhere.
handlers and all kinds of stuff like that that you could set up a furnace in there, and I mean, it'd be all right.
Just
That's an
heat it.
interesting idea. Focus
Yeah,
at
that's
that.
that. I mean, again, and this is so I was just talking to somebody, in I was just talking to somebody, and he was like, I got a kiln. No, he was like, I got a mill, but I can't I can't invest anything to grow the business because I'm saving to get a kiln. And to me, I mean, sure you know this in your millwork business, it's like you have to have a piece of equipment and you need to fully max out that equipment before you invest
Absolutely.
in another piece of equipment. And so
Yep.
it's kind of the same thing with the mill is you could put your mill to work and then use a little bit of the leverage there and the experience because you need the experience at the same time.
Yeah.
And if you start going from like mill kiln, and kiln drying is its own science as well to understand how to do it
Yeah.
and play with the temperatures. It's like it's kind of a lot. So to me, I was like, just max out your mill and get the cash going because I'm sure because you and your father have been in this business and in your area for so long, I'm sure you could go to a bunch of contractors and be like, hey, I got a bunch of lumber. What rough sawn lumber do you need? What projects do you need stuff for? And you
Yep.
can contact some logger or some tree company and just get a bunch and start
Yeah.
milling to spec. And you get a few $1,000s extra a month onto your revenue,
Yep.
you know? Is that
Yeah.
helpful?
It is. It is. The emphasis on the kiln isn't something that my brain had gone toward yet, and I like that that
Yeah.
concept of making sure it's like truly dry and primo, and then you get rid of all
Truly,
the
like
bugs.
truly dry. Yeah, because otherwise you're not even going to be able to build the type of stuff that you want,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, so that's what I would work on. But any upcoming projects that you're excited about by the end of the year?
Well, we're in the middle of a an awesome project. Is this door? It's 13 different doors with four cased openings. They're 2¼ inch Sapele, 7/6. There's three different. There's like I don't know 13 different conditions of these crazy. They built the walls double thick because they didn't want to see any bump outs for mechanicals or the ledge at the concrete and all this kind of stuff. So these doors are these like monster, and I don't know. It's just been a great, really great project, and we're nearing the end of the production of them,
That's
and
cool.
it's been fun. It's kind of encouraged me to get back into like the Instagram and whatnot. And I don't know. Usually I kind of keep to myself, but my wife keeps saying, "Oh, you got to share this stuff. You take all these
You got to
videos, you got
share
to
it. You
share
got
it."
to share it. No, no, it's so
And
true. It's so
and
true. Yeah.
that's it's
Sure.
a hard. That was kind of like another question I was thinking about. Like it's like we struggle so hard to get people to understand what we do and how it's significantly different than the cabinet company in town or your carpenter who comes and does. I mean, people ask me all the time to do trim in their house, and I'm like, man, I don't want to do that. Like, I'll make
Yeah.
your trim for you. Like, I'll
Sure.
make whatever profiles you want, but it's difficult to get people to understand what you do and how it's so different than what most other people around do.
For
Uh,
sure. For sure. Cool. Hey, so why don't you tell everybody your Instagram website? Do you have a website?
We do have a website. It's not very active. We built it a couple of years ago, and I haven't really touched it since then. But it's haxowoodworks.com
Uh-huh.
is our website, and the Instagram is haxo_design_fab, and so that's kind of got a little bit of the day to day on it. Um,
Cool. Awesome.
yeah.
Evan, thank you so much for sharing your story, and I look forward to getting your story out to the Woodpreneur community. Thanks so much
All
for
right.
uh,
Thank you
for
so
being on the
much.
podcast. All right,
All
take
right.
care.
It's been great.
Bye.
Thanks, Steve.